They rejected me from their Thanksgiving table, but I turned their exclusion into a celebration that changed everything. I stare at my phone screen, reading the message again, hoping the words might somehow soften. They don't. This year it's just Melissa's family. Hope you understand. The bright November sunlight pours through the huge windows of my Boston condo, glinting off the fancy crystal vase I treated myself to last week. Outside, sailboats speckle the harbor, their white sails popping against the dark water. Everything in this place I've built screams success. The sleek furniture in soft whites and grays, the original art on the walls, the spotless surfaces. None of it shows the empty ache growing in my chest. My thumb lingers over the screen. A dozen replies flash through my head. Questions. Blame. Please. In the end, I type one word. Enjoy. I set the phone down gently on the marble counter, pressing my palms against the cool surface. My reflection in the shiny granite shows a woman who's got it together, successful, unshaken. Only the slight shake in my hands gives me away. Just yesterday, I was at Williams-Sonoma, picking out custom stockings for my nieces and nephews. A cozy cashmere throw for Grandma Margaret. A fancy bottle of scotch for Uncle Robert. Even a hand-carved cheese board for Aunt Linda and Uncle Jim, my parents, despite our rocky history. Grandma Margaret had called last week, her voice full of warmth. You're still coming for Thanksgiving at your parents', right? I can't wait to see you, sweetheart. Wouldn't miss it, I told her, grinning as I stirred the cranberry chutney I'd been perfecting from her recipe. 3 tries later, it was just right. Tart but sweet, with a kick of spice. Perfect for the family table. The phone rings, snapping me out of the memory. Cousin Derek's name flashes on the screen. Brianna? You heard? His voice carries the same stunned disbelief I feel. About Thanksgiving? Just got the text. It's not just you, Derek says, his voice tight. They've cut out almost everyone except Melissa's crew. 18 people, Brie. 18 family members uninvited. My grip tightens on the phone. What? Why would they? Aunt Linda and Uncle Jim only want Melissa's perfect family at their perfect table, Derek spits out. God forbid they include us regular folks. I close my eyes. This isn't just about this year. It's a lifetime of being the backup choice, the afterthought. Christmas gifts that were practical while Melissa's were lavish. Parent-teacher meetings they were too busy for while they rearranged their lives for Melissa's volleyball games. The pattern's so old I stopped feeling it sting years ago. You there? Derek asks. Yeah, just taking it in. We're thinking about gathering at Grandma's instead, but her place is too small for everyone. I step to the window, watching the late fall light dance across the harbor. For a second, I see myself as others might, successful, independent, above family drama. The hurt kid inside me wants to hide, nurse her wounds alone, act like it doesn't matter. But something shifts as I stand there. The sunlight catches the water, blinding me with its brilliance for a moment. When my vision clears, my reflection in the glass looks different, shoulders straighter, chin higher. The hurt's still there, but something stronger grows beside it. I grab my phone again, scrolling through contacts until I find the number I need. Chef Martin. It's Brianna Campbell. I pause, my voice getting steadier. I'd like to host Thanksgiving for 32 people at my New Hampshire estate. There's surprise in his voice, but respect too. That's a big job on short notice, Miss Campbell. I know. My eyes flick back to the text message still open on my screen, but I think it's time for a new tradition, one where everyone's got a seat. As I hang up, a strange calm settles over me. They made their choice, cutting me from their table without a second thought. Now I'm making mine, and I bet they'll regret theirs sooner than they think. Later that day, the Boston skyline sparkles against the darkening November sky as I unlock the climate-controlled storage unit. Inside, a decade of memories waits, kept at a distance, preserved but untouched, like relics from another life. I pull the string on the overhead light. The fluorescent bulb flickers twice before steadying, casting harsh shadows over cardboard boxes labeled in my neat handwriting. High school, college, family photos. My fingers hover over the last box. Part of me wants to turn back, return to my condo, pretend the text never came. But the part that called Chef Martin pushes me forward. The cardboard flaps open with a faint puff of dust. The first photo album sits on top, its leather cover cracked with age. I settle onto the concrete floor, legs crossed like when I was a kid, and start flipping pages. Every photo tells the same story. Melissa front and center, beaming. My parents positioned around her, protective. Me, always a bit off to the side, like the photographer couldn't quite fit me into the family picture. In sum, I'm half cropped out, my shoulder or part of my face missing. You moved when I clicked, my mother would always say when I pointed it out. Eventually, I stopped bringing it up. I turned to the Christmas Morning series from 1995. Melissa unwrapping the deluxe art set she'd been eyeing, her face glowing with joy. 2 pages later, a single shot of me holding a practical winter coat, my smile tight and forced. I remember that morning clearly, how I'd hoped for the telescope I'd circled in catalogs for months, how I'd hidden the disappointment. Deeper in the box, I find my MIT acceptance letter, still in its original envelope. The paper's crumpled, smooth flat again later. The memory hits hard, running into the kitchen, letter in hand, interrupting my father's morning coffee. I got in, I'd announced, bursting with excitement. Full admission to MIT's computer science program. My father had glanced up, then back to his newspaper. Computer science? What kind of real career is that for a girl? My mother had squeezed my shoulder. We just worry about you, honey. Melissa's teaching degree will always be practical. I traced my finger over the MIT emblem, recalling how I'd folded the letter back into its envelope that morning, tucked it in my pocket, and walked to the park alone to cry where they couldn't see. Next, a stack of pay stubs from the 3 jobs I worked through college: cafeteria mornings, library afternoons, coding freelance late into the night. My parents refused to help with tuition, saying they couldn't afford it. Yet 6 months later, they refinanced their house to pay for Melissa's big wedding. I found out when my father mentioned the new mortgage payment during a rare Sunday dinner call. Worth every penny, he'd said proudly. Every father dreams of giving his daughter her perfect day. I was their daughter too. The thought still stings, even now. A crumpled bank loan application slips out from between faded notebooks. My sophomore year attempt to secure funding when scholarships weren't enough. The loan officer had been kind but firm. Without a cosigner with stronger credit, I can't approve this amount. When I asked my parents, my mother had clicked her tongue. Borrowing money's irresponsible, Brianna. Maybe take a semester off. Work more hours. I never took a semester off. I just worked until exhaustion felt normal. My phone buzzes with a call. Grandma Margaret's name lights up the screen. I just heard, she says when I answer, her voice sharp with anger. Linda told me they're keeping Thanksgiving small this year. What she didn't say is they're cutting out half the family to do it. It's fine, I say automatically, the response worn smooth from years of use. It is not fine, Grandma Margaret snaps. I know what they've done. It's been happening your whole life. I should have spoken up sooner. Her words hit like a punch to the chest, validation I never expected. I'm hosting instead, I tell her, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. At the New Hampshire place. Everyone's invited. The house you bought last year, the one they never visited even though you invited them for Memorial Day? That's the one. There's a pause, then her voice softens. I'll be there with bells on, sweetheart, and I'll make sure everyone knows you're the one saving Thanksgiving. After we hang up, my phone pings with texts. Derek's been rallying the family, cousins, aunts, uncles, all replying with excitement. My assistant Olivia's already arranged rides for older relatives who can't drive the distance. Chef Martin sent a menu that sticks to our family traditions, but makes them special. I pack the memories away, sealing the box with more care than it probably deserves. Tomorrow, I'll head to New Hampshire to prep the house. The next day, the winding driveway to my estate is lined with old maples, their bare branches stark against the gray November sky. The Colonial Revival mansion appears around the final curve, white columns standing tall against weathered brick, windows shining like watchful eyes. $6.2 million. The number barely registered when I signed the papers last year. Just another deal, another investment. I never thought I'd use it as a home. Alan, the caretaker, meets me at the door. His weathered face cracks into a smile. Good timing, Miss Campbell. Weather service says snow's coming next week. I've checked the generator twice, just in case. Thanks, Alan. We'll have about 30 guests for Thanksgiving. If he's surprised, he doesn't show it. I'll make sure everything's ready. When do you need the rooms set up? I'll handle the guest rooms myself, I tell him. Later, I stand in the first guest bedroom, smoothing fine cotton sheets over a 4-poster bed. For Grandma Margaret, the softest pillows I could find and a small vase of dried lavender, her favorite. For Uncle Robert and Aunt Sarah, matching quilts I had made by a Vermont artisan. For the kids, baskets of toys and books picked for their ages. I unwrap a package, 32 personalized place cards for the dining table, each one hand calligraphed. I run my finger over the raised ink of my own name, wondering where I'd have sat at my parents' table. Probably the far end, if I'd been included at all. In the grand dining room with its 15-foot ceiling and wall of windows overlooking the pond, I picture voices filling the space. Laughter, chatter, the clink of silverware on plates. A question creeps in, uninvited. Am I doing this out of love or revenge? Probably both. The thought should bother me more than it does. I set my place card at the head of the table and step back, taking in the room. For a moment, I see it through my mother's eyes, the tasteful luxury, the quiet wealth, the careful planning. Let them see what their second-choice daughter has built. Let them wonder what else they missed while they were looking the other way. I glance at my phone for the 5th time in an hour. Mother's latest text glows on the screen. You're embarrassing the family with this spectacle. People are talking. The irony almost makes me laugh. After cutting me from their table without a thought, now they care about appearances. I set my phone down beside the hand-carved place cards I've been labeling. Alan appears in the dining room doorway, his weathered face showing concern. Miss Campbell, weather service says a storm's moving in this afternoon. How bad? I ask, arranging the place settings. Enough to worry about. I've checked the generator twice, but with 30-some people here. He trails off. I nod, mentally adding extra blankets to each room. Thanks, Alan. Let's hope it misses us. When he leaves, I open my social media app, against my better judgment. Melissa's latest post is at the top. So blessed to celebrate with true family this year. The ones who matter most. Real Thanksgiving. Family first. The comments are full of heart emojis from her in-laws and neighborhood friends. None mention the 18 family members deemed unworthy. My voicemail icon blinks. Father's voice fills my ear, his usual condescending tone making me feel small. Brianna, your mother and I think you're being dramatic. If you wanted to host your own dinner, you could have talked to us instead of 2-7. I delete the message before he finishes. The father who missed my college graduation doesn't get to lecture me on family communication. Derek calls minutes later, voice tense. You should know they're calling everyone, trying to get people to skip your place, saying you're just showing off. Are people canceling? I ask, dread tightening my throat. The opposite. Everyone's more determined than ever. Grandma Margaret told Aunt Linda to pound sand. The image of my 82-year-old grandmother saying that brings my first real smile in days. I wander into my home office, fingers trailing over the polished mahogany desk. 5 years ago, this was a cramped corner in my studio apartment, barely room for a laptop and coffee mug. I worked 16-hour days building CyberCore's security protocol, while everyone from investors to my own father told me I was wasting my time. The cybersecurity market saturated, he'd said over Christmas dinner when I tried explaining my business. You should get a real job before you go broke. He'd turned to Melissa then, bragging about her promotion to assistant manager at the department store where she'd worked part-time for 3 months. I remember the night everything changed. 3 years into building the company, living on ramen and grit, my phone rang at 2 a.m. A major client system caught an intrusion attempt that would have cost millions. My protocol stopped what every other security layer missed. Within a week, we had 4 new contracts. Within a year, acquisition offers. The day I signed the papers selling CyberCore for $420 million, I called my parents. Mother answered, talked about Melissa's twins for 15 minutes, then said she had to go before I could share my news. Now I stand in a home worth more than everything they own combined, preparing to host the family they decided wasn't worth their time. The first snowflakes fall as the earliest guests arrive. Cousin Rachel and her husband pull up in their practical sedan, 3 kids tumbling out, shouting with excitement at the estate. Is this a castle? 7-year-old Emma asks, eyes huge. Just a really big house, I tell her, kneeling to her level despite my designer dress. More cars appear on the driveway as the snow thickens. Alan and his team help older relatives up the steps, while Chef Martin directs his crew in final prep. The house fills with voices, laughter, the smell of rosemary and sage. I'm arranging flowers in the entryway when a commotion at the door catches my attention. Grandma Margaret stands there, silver hair dusted with snow, cheeks red from the cold, and something like defiance. Your mother thinks I'm in bed with a headache, she announces, handing her coat to Alan. I'd rather be here with people who know what family really means. She cups my face in her soft, papery hands. They've been doing this to you since you were little, you know? I should have spoken up sooner. The simple acknowledgement nearly breaks me. All these years, I thought no one noticed. Within an hour, the house is alive. Kids race through hallways that have never heard such happy noise. Cousins bring extra side dishes and decorations. Derek sets up a system for older relatives to rest between chatting. In the kitchen, Chef Martin manages a feast that honors tradition while feeling special. The cranberry chutney I perfected sits next to his upgraded versions of family recipes. When I thank him for handling the last-minute event, he says, "Creating joy through food is why I left New York. This is what matters." The snow turns into a full-on blizzard through the afternoon. Windows rattle as we gather at the dining table, 32 chairs, all filled. No one left out, no one forgotten. Uncle Robert stands to give a toast when the lights flicker once, twice, then go out. Generator will kick in, Alan calls from somewhere in the dark. But seconds stretch into a minute with no power. Instead of panic, something amazing happens. Someone starts humming Amazing Grace. Another voice joins, then another. Cell phone flashlights light up faces around the table. Grandma Margaret's shaky soprano rises clear above the rest. Derek and his teenage sons pass out candles from the emergency stash. In their flickering light, I see something I've spent my life chasing. Real connection. Not the polished family image my parents kept up, but something raw, imperfect, and beautiful. When the generator finally kicks on 20 minutes later, bringing back light and heat, part of me wishes it hadn't. In that candlelit dark, we found what was missing at my parents' perfect table. Alan appears beside me. Storms knocked out power across the county. Word is your parents' neighborhood will be dark for at least 8 hours. Are they okay? I ask, despite everything. Generator at their place is working, from what I hear, he says. But I thought you should know. They've got just 7 people in that big house, while we've got 32, warm and fed. Looking at the faces my parents thought weren't good enough for their table, I realized something deep. They thought cutting me out was taking something from me. Instead, they gave me the push to create something better than what they offered. The lights highlight my family, chosen and blood, filling my home with more warmth than any generator could. The next day, my phone buzzes with notifications as I pour Grandma Margaret more coffee. Winter sunlight streams through the estate's eastern windows, casting long patches of light across the living room where relatives linger over pastries. The blizzard's gone, leaving a sparkling white landscape under the morning sun. Someone's popular today, Grandma Margaret teases, her eyes twinkling over her mug. I check my phone, surprised by dozens of social media alerts. At the top, a post from my nephew Tyler at Brianna Campbell. Look what an amazing Thanksgiving we had. My breath catches. Tyler posted photos from yesterday, the huge feast stretching down my dining table, candles glowing as family raised glasses, cousins laughing by the fireplace when the power went out. The estate looks magical, glowing in the snowy evening. Did you see Tyler's post? Cousin Rachel asks, coming downstairs with her phone. It's going viral in our hometown circles. I scroll through more posts. Derek shared a video of everyone singing by the fireplace, voices blending while snow fell outside. Anna Lane posted a stunning shot of the dessert table, Chef Martin's apple cranberry tart stealing the show. In almost every photo, the joy is obvious, but Rachel notices something else. You're barely in any of these, she says, looking over my shoulder. I nod. I didn't need to be. The gathering speaks for itself. My phone rings. Rachel's eyebrows shoot up as she sees the screen. Melissa's husband. She whispers, stepping away. Hello, Robert. I answer, moving to the kitchen. Brianna, his voice sounds tense. Just wanted to say yesterday looked nice. It was, I say simply. He clears his throat. I accidentally tagged your parents in a comment on Tyler's post. Melissa's pretty upset. I get it. I see. Your mom called this morning. 5 times. He pauses. People are asking questions. Back on social media, it's clear what happened. Robert's comment. Looks amazing. Wish we could have been there. Tagged my parents, letting their friends see the other Thanksgiving they didn't know about. Within hours, the post spread beyond family. My parents' neighbors commented in surprise. Church friends asked pointed questions. What makes it worse for them is the clear comparison. Someone made a split-screen image, my vibrant feast with 32 people versus my parents' half-empty table of 7, including Melissa's family. The difference is stark. Which gathering truly showed family? Your mother called me, Grandma Margaret says, joining me by the window. She's real upset. What did you tell her? Her smile carries years of held-back opinions finally let loose. I told her it was the first time the family felt whole in years. My phone keeps buzzing. Uncle Robert posted about the best Thanksgiving ever. Cousins tag each other with thanks. Chef Martin shared pro photos of his dishes, giving a shout-out to my company for the hostess. Then someone comments on the original post. Why weren't Brianna's parents there? Seems weird they'd miss such an amazing family gathering. The question sits there, unanswered. By noon, my parents start calling. I let it go to voicemail 3 times before picking up. How could you do this to us? Mother's voice shakes with anger, not regret. Do what exactly? I ask, keeping my tone even, watching snowflakes fall again outside. Throw some fancy party just to make us look bad? You're just flaunting your money. The accusation would have hurt a year ago. Now, I let it pass through me. I only set another table because you said I wasn't welcome at yours. You know that wasn't. She stops as my father's voice grumbles in the background. Put him on speaker, I suggest. There's a fumble, then his voice. Brianna, this has gone too far. Maybe we should talk in person. We can talk whenever you want, I say. But first, let's clear something up. 2 months ago, at Melissa's birthday dinner, I mentioned selling my company. No one asked a single question. No one even heard me. Silence stretches. I sold Cybercore for $420 million, Dad. But when I brought it up, no one listened. I hear his sharp breath, then stammering. I didn't realize. I know, I say quietly. You never have. As I hang up, Derek walks in with fresh coffee. Everything okay? I look around at the family still here. People who stayed an extra day, helped clean up without being asked, treated my home with respect, and me with real interest. Actually, I say, feeling lighter than I expected, I think it finally is. For the first time, I don't need my parents' table. I've built something better. The doorbell rings, cutting through my quiet Sunday morning. I check my phone. No texts, no calls about visitors. My stomach knots as I look through the peephole. Mother and father stand in the hallway, mother clutching a worn leather photo album like a shield. I think about pretending I'm not home, but that's the old Brianna. The woman who sold her tech company for hundreds of millions doesn't hide anymore. I open the door and stand firm in the doorway. This is a surprise. We were in the neighborhood, father says, his voice too cheerful. Thought we'd stop by. Mother holds up the album. Found some old photos you might like. Their fake casualness tells me this visit was planned. 3 days after they learned about my wealth through social media, they show up. The timing's obvious. I step back, letting them in. Come in. They walk in cautiously, eyes widening at the huge windows showing off Boston Harbor. Mother runs her finger along my marble counter, while father eyes the original Rothko on my dining room wall. Quite a place, he says. I don't bite at the bait. Instead, I point to the living room. Want to sit? They sit on my white sofa, looking small against my success. Mother opens the album on the coffee table. Remember this birthday? You were turning 8. She points to a photo where little Melissa blows out candles center frame while I'm half cut off at the edge. I remember, I say quietly. That was the year you forgot my birthday cake 3 months later. Grandma Margaret made cupcakes instead. Mother's smile fades. That's not. It is, I cut in, voice steady. I have the journal entries. I walk to my office and return with a storage box labeled evidence. I've kept it for years, not for this moment, but to remind myself I wasn't imagining the pattern. What's this? Father asks, brow furrowing. Proof. I sit across from them, pulling out items one by one. My MIT acceptance letter. I set the crumpled paper down. You didn't come to the ceremony. Melissa's volleyball tournament was that weekend. Mother shifts. That was important to her career. My bank statements from college. I place a folder on the table. 3 jobs to pay tuition after you wouldn't co-sign my loans. We couldn't afford more debt then, father says. The same year you refinanced the house for Melissa's wedding. I keep my tone calm, not accusing. My therapist taught me that. Their eyes flick to each other, a silent talk I've seen my whole life, figuring out what story to spin. Brianna, father leans forward, hands clasped. We should start fresh. The past is the past. We're family, mother adds, reaching for my hand. I don't offer mine. Father clears his throat. We've been talking. We know you've done well. His voice lowers, like he's sharing a secret. If you need financial advice, I have a friend who works with wealthy folks. There it is, the real reason they're here. I have a team of advisors, but thanks. I fold my hands in my lap. I don't need your approval anymore, but I do need your respect. Mother's face reddens. We've always respected you. I pull out a small journal with a faded unicorn cover. August 12th, 1998. Mom said my science fair project was showing off. Melissa got a new dress for looking pretty at picture day. I flip pages. November 30th, 2001. Dad laughed when I said I wanted to learn coding. Said computers are for boys who can't play sports. The silence feels heavy with 30 years of small hurts. My phone rings, startling us. Melissa's name flashes. The timing's almost too perfect, but it's real. It's your sister, I say, answering on speaker. Hi, Melissa. I'm with Mom and Dad. A pause. Oh, they're there? Her voice sounds off, hesitant. They brought photos, I say, keeping it neutral. Brianna, Melissa says suddenly. I need to tell you something. I've been thinking since Thanksgiving. She takes a deep breath. I've always been jealous. You're smarter, braver, freer. Being the perfect daughter was how I hid my fear of losing. Mother gasps, hand over her mouth. What are you talking about? Father demands, leaning toward the phone. You know exactly, Melissa says, her voice stronger. You've pitted us against each other our whole lives. I got attention for being good. Brianna got punished for being great. The doorbell rings again. I know who it is before opening. Grandma Margaret stands in the hallway, silver hair in a neat bun, eyes sharp with purpose. I followed them, she says, walking past me. She stops when she sees my parents on the sofa, the evidence box between them. Good. You're finally having this talk. Mother, this isn't your concern, my mother starts. I've watched this for decades, and I won't stay quiet anymore, Grandma says, her voice calm but firm. Every time Brianna did something amazing, you found a way to downplay it. Every time she needed support, you weren't there. Consider, we gave both our daughters everything, Father says, standing. No, three voices say at once. Mine, Grandma's, and Melissa's over the phone. I watch my mother's carefully built facade crack. Her shoulders slump, and real tears, not the fake ones she used to get her way, slide down her cheeks. I didn't realize, she whispers. I didn't see. It's not an apology, not yet, but it's the first break in a wall that stood between us my whole life. I don't rush to comfort her. That girl is gone. Instead, I sit tall, surrounded by my chosen support. Grandma here, Melissa unexpectedly on my side from afar. Now you do, I say simply. So, what happens next is your choice. Snow piles against the windows of my New Hampshire estate, turning the landscape into a winter wonderland. Christmas lights twinkle along the eaves, reflecting off the fresh snow covering the 40 acres. Inside, fires crackle in 3 hearths, and the smell of pine and cinnamon fills the air. A month has passed since Thanksgiving. A month of careful texts, hesitant calls, and one emotional coffee with my sister. Now I watch through the bay window as 2 cars pull into the circular drive. My parents step out of one, moving slowly. Melissa's family spills from the other, her husband Tom corralling their 3 kids as they race to the door. My fingers tighten around my coffee mug. They're here. When the doorbell chimes, I open it myself instead of letting Alan. Mother holds a foil-covered dish, her eyes widening at the grand foyer with its high ceiling and spiral staircase. Welcome, I say, stepping back. The kids rush past, squealing at the 15-foot Christmas tree in the great room. We brought sweet potato casserole, Mom says, offering the dish like a truce. I take it with a smile that feels only a little forced. Perfect. Kitchen's this way. Talk starts stiff but slowly warms as everyone settles in. The kids' laughter echoes through rooms that were once quiet, filling awkward silences with their pure joy. Later, I'm alone in the kitchen with Mom, unpacking dishes. Without me asking, she rolls up her sleeves and helps arrange appetizers, working beside me instead of telling me what to do. Your home's beautiful, she says quietly. I never really saw what you built for yourself. I look up, meeting her eyes. Thanks for coming. In the dining room, Chef Martin's outdone himself. The long mahogany table glows under crystal chandeliers, each place setting personalized. No one's at the head. The circular setup makes everyone equal. Dad pauses before sitting, looking at the gathered family. Before we eat, I'd like to say something. He clears his throat. to learning from our mistakes. Glasses rise with quiet agreement. When I look up, Mom's hand rests lightly on my shoulder, a touch so soft it might drift away. After dinner, Melissa finds me by the Christmas tree, its lights casting colorful shadows across our faces. Thanks, she whispers, for giving the kids their whole family. My phone buzzes with a text from Derek. Proud of you for giving them a second chance. I smile, looking around. Chef Martin chats with my uncles while Alan, now more than just the caretaker, helps Grandma Margaret with her dessert plate. Even the staff I insisted join us, instead of working alone, blend in with relatives. When glasses rise for a final toast, Mom stands. Her voice shakes but grows steady. To new beginnings and to our extraordinary daughter. Later, as snow falls softly outside, I stand in the doorway watching my now whole family. Kids nap on laps, adults share stories, and laughter fills the room. The truth settles in my heart like a warm glow. Family isn't just blood, it's the people who truly value you. Being left out of their table, let me build my own, where everyone's respected. Next Thanksgiving, I'll make it even bigger. Everyone deserves a place.